Good morning, All Saints, on this Thursday morning, the 11th of March. I hope that your week has gone well. I want to thank those of you who reached out to me about my message from Monday morning about anti Semitism and the readings we use in the church. Interestingly, there's a huge debate going on Twitter among Episcopalians about this very thing, with people on one side saying we're not anti-Semitic, the readings aren't anti-Semitic, and on the other side, people saying yes, they are. And so it's been kind of an interesting experience to have discussed this a bit this week, and now and all of this actually had its genesis by having the Professor Amy Jill Levine as the preacher at the cathedral on Sunday morning. So I'm glad the conversation is happening, and thank you for your part in that. This morning, rather than having a commemoration of a holy person or telling you about someone, I wanted to talk for just a minute about how we come about with this calendar, and because there's an exciting movement afoot to add someone to it. In the Episcopal Church, in our tradition, we have what are called the principal feasts, which are, Easter, Ascension, Pentecost, and so forth. And then we have Sundays, which nothing replaces the day of our Lord except something like Easter or Pentecost. And then there are various holy days and major feasts. And major feasts are, like for the apostles, the evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, or the Feast of Holy Innocents, or that sort of thing. But there's also following that in level of how diligent we have to be about observing them. There are various. There's the Common of Saints. There are other commemorations, which is why I use that day more often than not, rather than feast day. And that's where we come up with the people that we remember. And there is in the Episcopal Church a um, a calendar for that. It's called Lesser Feasts and Fasts. This one's from 2006. It was renewed, reissued a few years ago, and this is the authorized calendar of commemorations in the Episcopal Church. Back in the year 2000, they came up with this one for trial use. It's Holy Women, Holy Men, and it expired in 2015, which means that in an official capacity, it's not authorized for use, which is not to say that people don't still use it for personal devotion, or I use it sometimes when I'm talking with all of you. And then there's another one that was authorized for trial use in 2018 called Great Cloud of Witnesses. And I don't have a hard copy of it. I have a PDF on my computer that I look at. And from time to time, I will draw names from that. And if the commemorations become, if the use of this, if the trial use continues, it will come to a vote about whether or not it becomes an authorized calendar of commemorations in the Episcopal Church. I know we do things in a strange way here, and our church only meets every 3 years as a whole, and so it takes a while to get things done. But it to me, it speaks of the deliberateness, the importance that we place on these sorts of things. So, all of to tell you all of this leads up to the Episcopal Diocese of Massachusetts is going to propose at General Convention in June. Our every 3 year convention, that the name Barbara Clementine Harris be added to the calendar of commemorations. Barbara Harris was the first woman made a bishop in the Episcopal Church, and not just in the Episcopal Church, but in the worldwide Anglican Communion. She was consecrated in 1989 as bishop. And she was a suffragan bishop, which is not someone with responsibility for a whole diocese, but as kind of an assisting bishop to a diocesan bishop. And she died a year ago this Saturday, which is the 13th of March. So in order for the Diocese of Massachusetts to gain some support for this adding of Barbara Harris to the calendar, they've asked churches, congregations, dioceses to have some kind of commemoration this year and to let them know about it. And Barbara Harris is, I don't know of any woman priest for whom she's not something of a hero, because she certainly blazed a trail. I failed to mention she was also a Black woman. So she blazed a trail for women of color. And to meet her was to meet one of the most authentic human beings. There was no nonsense about her, but she was prophetic and fierce, but she was also kind and funny. And so I am delighted that the Diocese of Massachusetts is doing this. And so if you want, on Saturday morning, this Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, I'll make it a little later than my normal practice. I'm going to just read my morning prayer like I usually do, but I'm inviting people to join me on Zoom or Facebook Live. Zoom's a little bit more interactive. That link will come out in the e-news on Friday, so you can keep a lookout for it. It will also be an e-blast, I believe. I think my admin might have put it on Facebook already. And so we're going to just say morning prayer together using readings that were chosen for Barbara Harris. And so I invite you, if you're up and about Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, join me for morning prayer, and we will do our part to get Barbara Clementine Harris added to the calendar of commemorations in the Episcopal Church. So I that's all I have for today. I hope that the rest of your day and your weekend go well. Perhaps I'll see you on Saturday morning. Sunday morning, we'll be on Facebook Live as usual at 10 o'clock at the church. And until then, I wish you all the very best, and my prayers and blessings are with you and those you love and pray for.